Why would Washington even contemplate a second blow against Iran while the regime is already buckling under nationwide unrest? Iran has resumed the reconstruction of its nuclear strongholds. In the aftermath of the initial B-2 bunker buster strikes, orbital surveillance captured an unsettling sight. Long convoys of trucks threading their way into the Fordo nuclear facility, racing to extract whatever fissile remnants survived the impact. So what does a second American strike truly entail? It is not a single moment of violence, but a deliberate sequence. 3 movements in a grim symphony. The opening act is the blackout. Above the planet, unseen and unacknowledged, U.S. Space Force assets activate elements of the classified Silent Barker constellation. Iranian communication satellites are smothered, not destroyed, plunged into electronic incoherence. Orders vanish mid-sentence. Commands die before they arrive. The second act is the double tap. This is not symbolism, it is physics. The Massive Ordnance Penetrator descends once more. Not as a warning, but as a guarantee. Reinforced doors, freshly poured concrete, and hurried repairs are treated as temporary inconveniences. The goal is not damage, it is obliteration. All of this unfolds while the world's attention is diverted by mass protests inside Iran. Under that cover of chaos, Tehran wagered that no one was watching as shattered tunnel mouths were rebuilt and nuclear arteries reopened. That wager failed. American satellites never blinked. And this time, the Pentagon is not interested in surgical messaging. What is being prepared resembles a decapitation strike, designed to sever the threat at its source and end it permanently. Originally, Washington's objective was narrow: counter-proliferation. Break the centrifuges, shatter the machines, leave. But 6 months later, by January 2026, the arithmetic of risk had changed. Intelligence confirms that Iran is reconstructing the entrances to Fordo and Natanz, while protests consume the streets. Worse still, the IRGC has launched a ruthless Tiananmen-style crackdown across more than 340 protest sites. This is no longer about wrecking hardware. This is punitive. This is regime level. The ambition now is total overmatch, crippling the state's ability to command, coordinate, and govern, while indirectly tipping the balance toward revolution from the sky. The war, however, begins without noise. Phase 1, the blackout. An invisible assault designed to blind Tehran in an instant. High above the atmosphere, Silent Barker assets sever the connective tissue between Iran's central command and provincial IRGC leadership. Simultaneously, U.S. Cyber Command unleashes dormant malware embedded deep within Iran's power grid. Digital ordnance reminiscent of the rumored Nitro Zeus architecture. The effect is immediate and catastrophic. Cities dim, control rooms go dark, radar screens flicker, then flatline. The leadership is left mute, deaf, and frantic. Since June, Iran has concealed what remains of its mobile air defenses, the Bavar 373 systems and Russian-built S-400s, moving them like chess pieces across the board. To flush them out, the U.S. Navy lays a trap. Hundreds of ADM-160 MALD decoys are released into the sky. To an Iranian radar operator, the display looks apocalyptic. Formations mimicking F-16S and F-15S barreling toward Tehran. The radars activate. That decision seals their fate. From the electromagnetic shadows, F-35s and F-2, anti-radiation missiles streak outward. The air defense network is not merely suppressed, it is dismantled, node by node, signal by signal. Then come the heavyweights. Phase 3 is the strike's brutal core. B-2 Spirits lift off from Whiteman Air Force Base in Diego Garcia, gliding toward the granite shields of Fordo. Since the first attack, Iran has poured thicker concrete and sunk deeper steel. One bomb may fracture. The Air Force executes the double-tap doctrine. The first GBU-57 slams into the mountain, tearing open the reinforced blast doors. Seconds later, a second penetrator plunges into the fresh crater, driving far deeper before detonating. The shockwave does not merely damage the facility, it causes the mountain itself to fail. But the final phase marks the sharpest departure from 2025. This time, nuclear sites are not the only targets. From the Persian Gulf, the USS Georgia, releases a storm of Tomahawk cruise missiles. Their destinations are not factories, but command centers, IRGC barracks, intelligence headquarters, and operational hubs fueling the repression of protesters. To preclude retaliation against Israel or Saudi Arabia, missile cities buried in the Zagros Mountains are also struck. These subterranean arsenals, vast and deeply hidden, are sealed shut. The regime's ballistic sword is buried before it can be drawn. The second strike is engineered to be final. Cyber warfare, orbital dominance, and the heaviest conventional weapons on Earth converge into a scenario of absolute overmatch. Yet one question lingers. The B-2S already struck these targets during Operation Midnight Hammer. Why strike again? Because intelligence revealed the inconvenient truth. Critical nuclear material was moved, before and after the first bombs fell. Operation Midnight Hammer itself was formidable. 6 B-2 Spirit bombers, each armed with GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrators, targeted the mountain ridges above Fordo's tunnel network and enrichment halls. Multiple tunnel entrances were struck directly. Post-strike imagery showed vast craters and structural devastation. At least 3 of the 4 primary entrances sustained severe damage. An hour before the bombers crossed into Iranian airspace, a U.S. Navy submarine launched more than 30 cruise missiles at the Isfahan nuclear site. Sea and air strikes converged, stretching Iranian defenses to the breaking point. At approximately 6:40 p.m. Eastern Time, 2:10 a.m. in Iran, the lead B-2 released 2 penetrators over Fordo. Over the next 25 minutes, 14 MOPs were dropped across Fordo and Natanz. Almost simultaneously, cruise missiles struck Isfahan with surgical precision. The bombers departed as silently as they arrived, and yet the core survived. Satellite imagery in the days before the strike revealed an anomaly. 16 cargo trucks queued along the road to Fordo's tunnel entrance. Such activity was unprecedented. By the next day, most had vanished. A few lingered kilometers away. The implication was unavoidable. Material was being moved. Subsequent imagery showed bulldozers and trucks sealing tunnel entrances, likely to conceal evidence or prevent further inspection. According to the IAEA and U.S. intelligence, underground halls and tunnels suffered immense damage. Some were collapsed intentionally. Above-ground infrastructure, power systems, uranium conversion facilities, metal production units, was devastated. Leaked Defense Intelligence Agency assessments confirmed the damage, but delivered a sobering conclusion. The strikes did not eliminate Iran's nuclear core. Most centrifuges and enriched uranium stockpiles survived. The program was delayed, not dismantled, set back months, not erased. So where did it go? Analysts believe material may have been dispersed across multiple locations. Intact tunnel networks at the Isfahan complex are prime candidates. Natanz, with its history of subterranean construction, remains viable. Undeclared military sites such as Parkin or entirely unknown bunkers cannot be ruled out. Dispersal reduces vulnerability. Shadows protect what concrete no longer can. And that is why the second strike exists. If you like our video, like and share the video and subscribe to the channel.